and welcome to the Sorcery 5 YouTube channel. I'm Sorcery 5, and today I'm doing a challenge in the PC version of Fable, The Lost Chapters. The challenge is no willpowers. I'll probably refer to willpowers as spells, since that's what they are, and will is also the mana pool for those spells, so this means we will be using melee weapons and ranged weapons only. For those of you who don't know what Fable The Lost Chapters is, it's an extended version of the original Fable. It features all the content found in the original Fable, as well as additional content such as new monsters, weapons, items, armor, towns, buildings, and expressions. There are also 9 new areas and 16 additional quests. Well, that's all well and good, but, do you even know what Fable is? Well, I have that covered too. Fable is set in the fictional realm of Albion. You play as an orphan boy who becomes a hero. The choices you make in the game affect the perception and reaction to the hero by the people of Albion, and change the hero's appearance. The main quest line explains what happened to the hero's family. To make this video a lot shorter, I'll be focusing on the main quests, and will comment if it was easier or harder, or if it's just the same without spells. For reference, I used to use lightning spells all the time to zap and stun opponents, and slow time to make it easier to hit said opponents. In order to make sure that I'm not going to accidentally use willpowers, I'm going to use Fable menu to set my maximum will to 0 when I get past the guild tutorial, and the casting mode button is going to be as far away from my keyboard hand as possible. Numpad minus. So we start out the game as a child getting money for his sister's birthday present on the day of her birthday. He either forgot or procrastinated. Relatable. We do good deeds with the option of a couple of bad deeds to get the 3 gold to buy the present. We're going to be doing a good playthrough this time, so we just do good deeds. We give our sister the gift of chocolates, and before she can sit down and enjoy them, our hometown of Oakvale gets raised by bandits. What? We find our father dead, and then are brought to the Heroes Guild by Maze. Here, we train in the heroic arts, and unfortunately are required to use the lightning spell. I believe this is the only time that willpowers will be required. We'll skip past the next couple of story quests, saving people from a wasp attack, no harder without spells, and escorting traders to Barrow Fields. Also, not really any harder without spells. Maybe a little bit slower, but not any harder. The important story element is the town next to Barrow Fields, Oakvale. This is our hometown that was raised at the beginning of the game. While we were training in the guild, Oakvale was apparently being rebuilt. And while I won't be buying it this playthrough, our rebuilt house is available to buy. Mace tells us of a blind bandit, Cirrus, who might know the location of our sister, Teresa. So, after spending some experience, we head out to Twin Blade's camp to talk to her. We haven't mentioned XP yet, so let's talk about it before we head out. There are 4 kinds of experience: strength experience, skill experience, will experience, and general experience. General experience is awarded for kills and is the green orbs you might see me collect. Strength experience is gained from melee attacks. Skill experience is gained from ranged attacks and shopping for some reason. Will XP is gained by casting spells. We won't be casting spells, so the only way to have will experience is from potions, and we won't be spending any general experience on willpowers. Strength is the most important category for this, and most other playthroughs that I do. We can spend it to increase our melee damage, increase our health, and increase our natural damage reduction. Skill increases our attack speed for melee and ranged, increases accuracy for ranged, and increases our stealth. I probably won't worry about stealth, as the 2 main quests that require stealth are extremely forgiving. That means we'll be spending all our experience on melee damage, HP, damage reduction, speed, and accuracy. Getting through the bandit camps to find the blind Cirrus felt the same, if a little slower than using slowdown to give extra hits on Twin Blade's back. Next, we find the archaeologist. Finding him isn't hard, because I've done this so many times. But we fight a troll for the first time without cover. Oh boy, I've gotten so used to using slowdown for these things. What's the arena gonna be like? Oh, and the giant scorpion? Oh yikes. Well, slow down there, sorcery. We aren't there yet. We have to take down the white Valverine first. Oh, he's dead. The next quest is the arena? Oof. Time to grind out my max strength experience category. Training montage! I did a lot of grinding. I maxed out toughness, that's the damage reduction one, physique, which is our damage output, and finally decided that it would take several more hours of grinding to max out our HP, so I used Fable menu to give me the last 2 levels of HP. After that, I pulled the sword from the stone. I know I said earlier we weren't going to be buying our childhood home, but in order to break up the monotony of grinding, I bought that and the house in Bowerstone, and eventually I will also buy all the other purchasable houses. Now on to the arena. The rock trolls are gonna take forever. Okay, the arena actually went pretty well. With no spells, the rock trolls and other high armor enemies took a long time to kill, but because I had full plate mail and full toughness, they couldn't really do much damage to me. I'm glad we got the grinding out of the way before the arena, however, because the rest of the story quests I prefer to do back to back without any time between them. The next story quest is saving the archaeologist from earlier. He's being kidnapped by summoners, the henchmen of our BBEG. It's pretty quick to save him and move on to the next quest. We have to open up the graveyard path to save our mother. Wait, our mother's still alive? She didn't die back in Oakvale? Well, I guess not. She's been imprisoned by Jack of Blades this whole time. In order to open up this grave path, we have to find all the pieces of Nostro's armor, which the gravekeeper totally did not steal from his grave. Once the path is open, we take the path, killing some undead along the way, in order to break into the cellar of the prison. When we do this, the guards on duty are confused as to why they even have to guard this area, when there's undead stopping anyone from trying to get in this way. I mean, if we weren't a hero, they would have a really good point, but we're a hero. We find our mother and take her back the way we came, only to get trapped by Jack. We're imprisoned and forced to run a foot race. We need the key from the warden's office to escape. First year, we're guaranteed to open the wrong book, but the second year, we happen to get the right book. We get our things from lockup, then try to save the other prisoners. Unfortunately, they do die to the Kraken, who we then defeat. We next have to make it to Hook Coast through the use of a Cullis Gate. Cullis Gates are the gates we use to teleport across Albion. This particular Cullis Gate has been dormant for a long time, so we have to feed it undead souls. Once in Hook Coast, we find a barrier stopping us, so we return to the Heroes Guild to talk to our mom. On our way back to talk to Mom, she is recaptured by Jack of Blades. Can you tell who the BBEG is? We return to Hook Coast and make it through the barrier, only to fight Maze, the man who brought us to the Heroes Guild. As he dies, he realizes that we might actually be able to stop Jack, and tells us to hurry. Next, we chase Jack all across Albion, trying to stop him from activating these weird orb structures scattered across the world. We are one step behind him the whole way, even though we ignored all the enemies and ran right for him. Curse you, Jack! Jack has found the Sword of Aeons, and we have to defeat him to take it from him. I haven't talked about the annoyance of no spells for a while, have I? Well, it would have been nice in the maze fight, but didn't really affect the amount of time that the quest took. Here, though, slow time would have been very useful for the first phase. I kept getting pushed back by the sword's ranged attack when I tried to close in. Berserk would have been nice for extra damage, and Physical Shield also would have been nice for not getting hit and thrown backwards by those attacks. During the second phase, you dodge damage and hit Jack with your bow. Spells like Multi-Arrow would have been very useful for speeding this up, but the fight still went pretty well without it. Once Jack is defeated, we have a choice. Slay our sister Teresa, or throw the sword into the abyss. Oh right, in order to use the Sword of Aeons, you have to slay someone with the old blood. Our sister is here, pleading for her life. So who did Jack kill? No, not Mother! Okay, we're doing a good playthrough, so we toss the sword into the abyss. This is where the original Fable ends, but we aren't playing through the original Fable. We're playing through the Enhanced Edition, Fable the Lost Chapter. So there's more content still to come. First step of this new content is releasing the Fireheart. There are two ways to solve this puzzle. All sun symbols freeze a sage, and all moon symbols kills a sage. After all sages are either dead or released, we get the Fireheart. Again, this is a good playthrough, so we release the sages. Next isn't a main quest thing, but it's very useful for the remaining quests. Because we threw away the Sword of Aeons, we need a more powerful sword than the one we pulled from the stone. We read Maze's diary, and then read an inscription on the empty grave in the Heroes Guild to receive Avo's Tear. Next story beat, protecting the Fireheart as it powers up and summons the ship of the drowned. Man, slow time and heal would be very useful for these TLC quests, but we make it through the summoners just fine. Once our voyage is done, we find ourselves in Snowspire. We have to awaken the Oracle to defeat Jack once and for all. That's right, Jack is still alive! The Oracle tells us he's locked behind a door, and we must defeat him again to absorb his soul into his mask. To open the door, we need 3 different hero souls. There are 3 living people who match the descriptions of the souls. Thunder, Briar Rose, and the Guildmaster. There are also 3 dead souls that match the descriptions. A soul of someone who died in the arena, our mother, and Nostro. Being good, we decide to trap the immortal souls of people who are already dead instead of killing people and then trapping their immortal souls. Wow, this is the more good of the 2 options, but it's pretty morally gray. Now we confront Jack in the final battle. Well, for the second time. The first time we came in here, I forgot to check how many healing potions we had. The heal spell would have been really useful right about now. Anyway, with the giant supply of healing potions this time, purchased from several locations throughout Albion, capitalism, we are able to defeat Jack in his dragon form and absorb his soul into the mask. Next is a big decision. Throw the mask into the lava, or become the new Jack of Blades, the most badass villain of... Oh, right. This is a good playthrough. We throw the mask into the lava. Alright, roll credits. This game is designed for you to be able to play just about however you want, and not using Will past the guild training days isn't actually that bad. There were several places where it would have been a better experience, made the game a little bit faster, but there wasn't a brick wall that I couldn't get past. I think if I do another challenge, I'm gonna do Fable, The Lost Chapters, but you can only use the stick for melee. It's gonna be a lot tougher in some places, but I'll also be able to use Will, so maybe it's not as bad as it sounds. Well, until next time, this has been Sorcery 5. Have a nice rest of your day.